Hi everyone and welcome back to my channel. My name is Morgan if you're new here, and I am a middle school math and science teacher. I currently teach 6th grade math, one section, and 5 sections of science, and I also love all things Disney. But today, this is not a Disney video. This is a teaching video. So I'm going to be giving my advice to all first-year teachers. So if you're not a first-year teacher, if you move to a new school, this video is for you, and you might find this interesting. So let's get into it. I'm currently a second-year teacher, and I thought, who better to give this kind of advice than someone who was just there? So I'm going to give you my 7 things that I wish I knew before I became a teacher. Number 1, don't be afraid to ask for help. If you are afraid to ask for help, if you're not going to ask your department chair, your teammates, your administration for help, you're gonna drown, and you don't want that. If you need help with something, you need to ask them, whether it's understanding the curriculum, getting assignments done, or just where stuff is in the building. Right now, we're not in the building, but when we go back, some of you may have never even seen your building. You don't even know what it looks like. You don't even know where the bathroom is. And you don't want to suffer on your own. You want to figure those things out, and you want to get them accomplished. So make sure you're asking for help when you need it, even if it's as silly as where is the bathroom. It doesn't have to be a big thing like, oh, this kid is giving me this kind of hard time. You can ask those things too for advice, but make sure you're asking for help when you need it. And I think that's what makes teachers burn out the most, is that they don't ask for help, and then they just feel so alone. And you're not alone. There's plenty of people to help you. You just gotta ask. Number 2, don't let the kids get to you. You gotta let it go. Just let it go. Kids are mean. They are ruthless. They are can be butts sometimes. And if you take it personally, you're gonna suffer. It's not gonna be very good. You're gonna think, oh, I must be the worst person in the world because all of this is happening to me. You're not. You can't take it personally. They have a lot of things going on in their lives. You don't know their entire backstory. You don't know their entire home life. So you need to take that into account when they're acting out. And you can't take it personally, because if you take it personally, it will eat you up inside, and you'll want to quit within the first month. Kids are going to test you. Kids are going to test the boundaries. You cannot take that personally, and you can't take those feelings home with you. Whatever stays at school, whatever happens at school, needs to stay at school. That's my rule. If I have a really bad day at school, I cannot bring that home with me, because if I bring that home with me, then I'm walking that negativity right into my other life, and it doesn't cope well, because then you're just stuck in this negative bubble of, this is going to happen, this is happening, this happened to me, all these things, and it's not healthy, and it will actually bring the people around you down. Number 3, don't tell them it's your first year. Do not tell them it is your first year teaching. If you tell them it is your first year teaching, that not only opens the door for misbehavior, but it also opens the door for parents to criticize every single thing you do. If you think the kids aren't going to go home and tell their parents that they have a first year teacher, they will. If you tell them it's your first year, those parents are going to look at everything you do and think it's wrong. They're going to question it. They're going to wonder why you're even here, and they're going to challenge you a lot. So a good way around that is to say, oh, it's my first year in the state. It's my first year at this school. So that way when kids ask you those basic questions of, where is this? How does this work? What is this? You don't look silly not knowing, but they also still have that, you also still have that credibility of, I am a teacher, I've done this before, I know what I'm talking about when it comes to my content, because you do. You've gone through a teacher education program, or you've gone through schooling, and you know your subject. Now, in elementary school, if you tell them it's your first year, they might not think anything of it because they're little kids. But the older the kids are, the more the parents are going to be on you about their grades, about how they're performing, and the more the kids are going to be able to act out because they understand and they know what's going on, and they know what a good teacher is like, and they know what first year teacher means. So no matter what, do not, if you take nothing else away, do not tell them it is your first year. Tell them anything else, but do not tell them it is your first year. And also, I would refrain from stating your graduation date. If you graduated from a college with your education degree, I would refrain from that, because then they can easily be like, oh, you graduated last year in May? What? Oh, then you must be a first year. Blah, 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 blah. So just keep those things in mind. Number 4, don't overextend yourself. There are a lot of things going on in a school. There are a lot of things to do outside of a school. And if you let it happen, you will say yes to everything, because you want to be that go-getter. You want to make a good impression. You want to get everything done and think you can do it all. But teaching is hard. It is a lot of work. I was a person who thought, oh, I know what I'm getting myself into. I know what teaching is like. I can do this, that, and the other thing and get it all done. No, you can't. Teaching is a lot. You're making your own lesson plans, you're making materials, you're doing projects, you're thinking of behavior management strategies, how to decorate your classroom, word wall, observations coming up, all these things. You don't need the extra stress of a bunch of extracurriculars piled on your plate. My first year of teaching, I said yes to not only teaching, but I had a second job as a dance teacher. I said yes to an after-school STEM program, being the club coordinator of that. I'm a track and field coach, and I said yes to doing an extra STEM thing that was also after school that I never planned for, and I realized I said yes. And then I also was tutoring students. That's a lot. That's a lot on my plate, and it was a lot. And not that coronavirus is a good thing, but God, thank goodness, because now I realize how much it was and how much I needed a break from it. Don't pile on your plate. If there's something you're really passionate about, like a club, go ahead and do that. But then maybe don't have that second job. Maybe don't also coach. Maybe see if someone wants to go in with you on the club. That way you're not solely responsible for the club. Things like that. Just don't overextend yourself, because not only will you suffer, but your kids will suffer, because your kids can tell if you're stressed. They can tell if your heart's not into it, and that's not fair for them, especially if it's something that's extracurricular. You really want to put your whole self into that. Since it's something extra that they are choosing to do, they're there because they want to be there. And if you're not able to give that time and that effort to it, it's not fair to them. It's not fair to you to stress yourself out, and you don't want your teaching to suffer ultimately in the end, because then the kids just suffer. Number 5, you don't have to grade everything. I know. That's a hard one to choke down. I went to college, and in college we were told if the assignment's worth it, then you should grade it. And that is a big thing. So I started grading everything. I was grading every little thing they did, and that is not realistic at all. You need time you need to really sit down if you're doing that and decide what is actually important that they know. Is this exit ticket really that important, or is this independent practice important? Do I really have to grade that independent practice? Do I have to grade every single question on this worksheet, or can I just pick 5? Those are the kinds of things you have to start looking at if you're feeling that grading is taking over your life. And also, I found that through this whole coronavirus pandemic that there are a lot of online things that will grade it for you. And that is the best thing I found out. I spend way less time grading, not only because I limited what I was grading, but also because now I'm using these online resources to grade it for me. And I'm still testing them the same way an exit ticket would test. It's just I don't have to grade it by hand now. So that, I think, is a positive that's come out of all of this. And if you take nothing else away, really sit down and think about what you're grading, and if it's important. Does it really matter towards their grade? Or is it just a repeat of another thing you already have in the grade book? Is it a necessary assignment that's going to make or break their grade? Does it test something that the other one didn't? Can you just make something that just tests that? Do you have to use all the questions? Those are things you should start thinking about and asking yourself if you feel that you are being overwhelmed with grading. But just remember, you don't have to grade it all. A piece of classwork doesn't have to be graded because you did it together. Number 6, do not reinvent the wheel. You are not the first person to teach this topic unless it's something like cryogenics or something like that, and I'm sure you're not teaching that to a bunch of kindergartners. You are not the first person to teach this concept. There are plenty of other resources out there that teach the exact same thing. Now, will they always work for your kids? No, they won't. So that's when you have to take things from Teachers Pay Teachers. Take your colleagues' quiz. Take this worksheet you found off the internet and adapt them and pull out those questions that you really love and pull out those different things from the textbook that they need to know and put them all together into one cohesive worksheet. You don't have to start from scratch. And if there is a worksheet out there that works perfectly with what you're teaching, then use it. It does, that's what Teachers Pay Teachers is for, people. That's why people put stuff on the internet. It's so that other people can use it. There's no reason to remake the exact same worksheet. Also, go to your colleagues and your planning partners, because they're going to know. They've been around these kids for a while. They've been around the material. They know what is best and works best for these kids. They know if that worksheet from Teachers Pay Teachers is going to work. They know if this excerpt from the textbook really speaks to them or not. And they're going to know those different things. So just ask them for help. And if they have something that they find works, try it. You're not going to know that something doesn't work until you try it. And then, you know what? If it bombs and they don't get it, you do it again the next day in a different way. Or it works, but it could have been better. You do it next year, which is even better because then you don't have to think about it again. So, if there's something made out there, I highly encourage you to at least look at it and see if you like something about it. Number 7, it's okay to change your plans. It's okay if you have to take an extra 25 minutes going over the test. It's okay if you have to take an extra 5 minutes to do the notes. Stuff happens. It's life. We're people, and stuff happens. They're kids. They're not going to be perfect, and they're not all going to move at the same pace. So you have to be cognizant of that, and you have to adapt your things to what your kids are going to be able to do and how they move. Even though I got to the independent practice in one class, that doesn't mean I'm going to get to that independent practice in another class. Just because I got all the way to the exit ticket in my last class doesn't mean my first class did. And you have to be able to move with that and be flexible. And if there's something you really liked that you didn't get to do, just do it the next day. You don't always have to get to that exit ticket. You don't always have to finish the lesson on the same day. It's okay to do a 2-part lesson and have it span over 2 or 3 days. You don't always have to get to the end and stick to the time. I know that's what we're kind of taught and is kind of expected of us in an observation, but that's not life. That's not real. That's not what they need. That's not what the kids need or want. They want someone who can get onto their level, see that they are struggling, and can change because of that. All right, everyone. So those are my 7 things that I wish I knew before I became a teacher. I hope you enjoyed them. Even if you're new to a school district, you can use them and think about them, especially, or if you have someone in your family who you know is becoming a teacher, I encourage you to share this video with them. If you have something that you really liked or that I didn't say that you thought would be awesome to mention, go ahead and mention it in the comments. And if you like this video, give it a big thumbs up and make sure to hit that subscribe button and the bell notification below so that you're notified every time I post. And I hope to see you all again. Have a magical day.